Hello and welcome or welcome back. I'm Kathy Liska with the Center for Coaching Certification. The conversation today is when you have a coaching engagement, what are the pros and cons of being face to face or on camera versus off camera or on the telephone? To explore this, our agenda for the conversation, we'll talk about the options, what they are specifically. Then we'll move into discussing the pros and the cons, and we'll talk about choosing which one makes sense for you. Starting with the options. One idea a lot of people have about coaching is that it's done face to face. Another option, of course, is being on camera, for example, in a platform like Zoom or Teams, etc. A different option is being off camera. And then, of course, there's the possibility of using the telephone. Now, an interesting piece of information, pre-COVID, 80% of coaching was done on the phone. Post-COVID, with increasing familiarity with online technologies and platforms, the vast majority of it's being done on camera or off camera in some of the online platforms. Let's move into talking about the pros of actually seeing the coach, whether you're face to face with somebody or you're on camera. If you are face to face, one of the pros is being with somebody feels good. We like that concept. We feel like we gain a sense of who they are as a person. If it's on camera, much like I am, you feel like, okay, at least I see you, and that's part of getting to know you. And you gain a sense of where somebody works. You see their space, their environment around them. A lot of people also really like the idea of watching body language and facial expressions. The caution with that is that very few of us are properly trained to accurately interpret body language and facial expressions. So we may think it means one thing when in reality it means something different. So just an awareness on that. What are the cons of actually seeing the coach? The first one's a big one. It creates biases. When you see somebody, it adds to your impression of that person. Maybe they're in a wheelchair, maybe they're heavy set, and you think, oh, wow, there's something wrong there. And we don't actually know the reason or what's behind it. We start having biases based on maybe their hairstyle or what they're wearing or any number of other things. And that gets in the way of having an effective coaching engagement because of the biases that get created. Another con is it actually interferes with your thinking. And the reason it interferes with your thinking is that instead of staying in your own head, in your own brain, and doing your thinking, you're involved in interacting with someone else. That added element can get in the way. It also means you're influenced by their reactions. Maybe they smile, maybe they frown, lift an eyebrow, whatever it is, and you think it means something, and it may mean something completely different. We don't know. The reality is, whatever you think it means is going to influence you and your thinking. When you're face to face, some of what is said gets missed. This is based on the research around communication. 55% of what we understand is based on what we see. In other words, our understanding is more about somebody's appearance, their facial expressions, gestures, what they're wearing, etc., than it is about what they're actually saying. If we eliminate the seeing piece of it, it pushes us, it challenges us to have our understanding come from the volume, the way somebody says it, how it comes across, the energy behind it, and the actual words. Another con of actually seeing the coach is it may mean you've got to add some commute time. If you're talking, you want to see them face to face, either the coach or the client is now commuting, or it may be both of them are commuting to a place to meet. And that adds time to what's involved. If the client is commuting, you're doubling how much time you're committing to that engagement, that relationship. For the coach, it's the same thing. You're probably at least doubling your time. And for the client, that means the fee's probably higher. Another big piece to that is if you have to have a commute, it limits who can coach. So, for example, by coaching online, I have clients all over the world. It means that the people looking for a coach have more options. They can choose the best coach for them instead of choosing the most convenient coach for them. So, what are the pros of not seeing the coach? For the client, it gives you a clear, clean space to think. You have the ability to set up where you are and make sure it's a place that really supports your own thinking without interference. It then keeps it about your thinking. So instead of it being about the interaction or what you think somebody else's impression is, it stays true to you and your own thinking. It will also move the listening to a deeper level. Without the visual cues, we're paying more attention to how what is said is being said, and we're paying more attention to the energy behind it, to what isn't being said, to what it all means to the individual who's saying it. It truly takes listening above and beyond, much deeper level. It also facilitates note taking, whether the coach is taking notes or the client is taking notes. And that's a whole nother conversation, pros and cons of that. If the coach is taking notes, imagine what may happen for the client. For example, if I'm your coach and I'm going to type something, I'm like this, and now you're seeing the top of my head instead of my face. And it may be you're wondering, oh, what are you writing down? Oh, did you write this? Did you write that? Oh, don't write this. Don't. And all of a sudden you're worried about my nose instead of really being in the moment and doing your own thinking. So it makes it easier for the coach. Think about if you as client are taking notes. If you're taking notes, what happens? Well, because you're focused on the interaction and the engaging and the connection, you may hesitate. You may not write something down because you're busy with the eye contact and connecting with that other person. And then you might miss things, or by the time you get to them, you've forgotten part of it. It definitely makes it easier, whether it's the coach or the client, in terms of note taking. It is also freeing. Think about it. There's something about simply talking to a voice without seeing someone that makes it feel easier, comfortable. There's no judgment involved. It's very freeing. And of course, it expands the possible pool of coaches who can be your coach. Because if you're meeting online, your coach can be anywhere in the world. If you're meeting on the phone, yeah, they can be anywhere in the world, or you may be at least expanding throughout your country or region in terms of who your coach is. It definitely means you have the opportunity to focus on what they offer you, on that connection with them. What are the cons of not seeing the coach? A lot of it is a self-imposed limitation. For example, a lot of people think that they want their coach's reaction. Does it really serve them? Probably not. They may think it serves them, and it's somebody else's opinion influencing them instead of them expanding their own thinking and really growing and developing in terms of making their own choices. Thinking, seeing someone helps. So here's an interesting thing that is possible. If you like the idea of seeing your coach, meet online. For example, when I work with clients, when we first start the coaching session, I'll open up a Zoom room and I'll be on camera and we'll say hi and check in and have a greeting. And then when it's time to move into the coaching session, I'll say to the client, okay, I'll get out of your way and I'll turn my camera off and we'll do the coaching session. Then at the end of the coaching session, I'll turn my camera back on and we can schedule their next appointment. That way they get that connection, the visual, the sense of the other person, and they also have the freedom to really think and process during the coaching session. Another limitation, again, self-imposed, is even thinking it's a limitation. We have this perception. The challenge is, where does that come from? For example, some people think, oh, well, seeing is what has been done. That's how it happens. Or thinking it's a must. And the reality is, it really does work without seeing. So how do you decide what's right for you? Reflect for yourself. First off, what do you want to gain from coaching? Think about how does seeing the coach help and how does seeing the coach get in the way. Consider what makes the most sense for you and what will benefit you most. And the idea we shared earlier, do both. Test them. Test each of them. Test being on camera with a coach, test being off camera. See what happens. See what the experience is. And from there, make your choice in terms of what serves you best. Come visit us at www.coachcert.com. Make it a great one.